Jen Kilns, and today we're going to show you how to get a coil out of a lid. This is a lid of a 15/6, but certainly the same technique that you use for any of the lids for our kilns, our brick kilns. But the first step is to get the lid off the kiln, and to do that, most of the kilns will have a bolt in the back that is actually the hinge point of every lid. Take those bolts out. You're going to take the cover box that covered where the coils come out of the kiln off, and then if there's any, if it's an older kiln that has chain, then you want to remove the chain that holds the lid from going back when you open it. Once you've done that, you can take the lid off the kiln. It's nice to be able to set it somewhere you can work. I have had people that will just turn it over on top of the kiln and work on top of that. Get it on the workbench where you can kind of work how I am today. So the first step I'm going to do is just take these insulators off of the coils. And sometimes if there's a little bit of a burr or a bend here, you can just use your wire snips and cut that off nice and clean. It'll make it easier to come back through the kiln. Right at the beginning of this, where the coil comes out of the kiln, there are some pins. And so the first step is to get these pins out, and I'm going to use a needle nose pliers and just pull up a little bit on this coil until I can see this pin coming out where I can get a hold of it, and then take this pin out, set it to one side because you will use it again. Usually there's 2 to 3 in each of these corners, so once I've found them, I'll pull them out. I picked this lid. This was a used lid, and it has some damage to it, so we'll be able to cover a couple of other things. You can kind of see right here, there's a piece of brick that's already broken and starting to come off. I would probably just go ahead and remove that. It's going to come off anyway, and you don't want it falling on something that you're firing. And we can talk about how to repair that and if you really need to repair that in just a second. So once I have all the pins out, I'm going to push the coil back into this front groove. And I like to get in here and just be kind of careful as I'm pulling it out. I'm keeping pressure over here to protect this corner of the brick. Most coils that are used are going to be very brittle, and this coil just is not an old coil, so it's got some flexibility to it. But if the coil breaks, that's fine. Let it break and just take it out in the pieces that you can. This particular lid is very symmetric, so it doesn't really matter which direction you go. I'm going to go counterclockwise when I get this out. I like to use these little screwdrivers that you get in like eyeglass repair kits. And I'm just going to begin by using this screwdriver and staying in the groove, keep my fingers against this, and just begin to work this coil out of this groove. I will say getting the old coil out is going to be the harder part of this job. The new coil is going to be a lot more flexible and much easier to get out. One thing that you don't want to do, don't get frustrated and just pull this coil out of its groove, because the groove is what keeps the coil in place. You don't want to have to run a lot of pins in this. And now I've got 2 screwdrivers, and I'm just going to begin to keep working this out. Alright, while I'm working on getting this out, this will be part 1, there'll be a part 2, and I'll be further along here. But just be patient, just keep doing exactly what I'm doing, and keep working this out. There you go, stop.